But let's keep this in mind, because when I hear people say that they were lied to by the Russian government, there was no lies. What lie? What lie has the Russian government said? Oh, we were told we were going to win. You are winning. You are winning. One only has to take a look at the casualties that have occurred on the battlefield to understand that the Russian army is winning this fight. But this is no longer a fight between Russia and Ukraine. That was the special military operation. This is a fight between Russia and NATO, Russia and the European Union, Russia and the United States. That's a different geopolitical reality than existed in February 24th. And because of this, Russia does not have the resources allocated to the special military operation capable of achieving the objectives that were promised. This isn't about Russia losing. This is about the nature of the game changing. Back in May, when the United States passed the Lend-Lease Act, I clearly stated that this was a game-changing event, that you cannot inject tens of billions of dollars of military assistance into Ukraine and provide Ukraine strategic depth in terms of access to bases in Germany, in France, in England, in Poland, and elsewhere, without altering the military balance, and that Russia would have to respond. After the Kharkov offense of earlier this month, I said that this is proof that the Ukrainian army stopped being an army of Ukrainians trained and equipped by NATO and had become a NATO army manned primarily by Ukrainians. But that's a qualitative difference, and that Russia would need to radically alter its approach to the special military operation if it were to prevail. What you're seeing right now is that radical alteration. Two things about it. One, the partial mobilization, 300,000 men. I think everybody in Russia should understand that this is not the end game. It could be the end game, but Russia has 25 million trained personnel in the reserves that can be mobilized. They don't see the need right now, but should NATO continue to escalate, then Russia would have to match that escalation. So this may not be the last mobilization. Does that mean that Russia is losing, that the Russian people have been lied to? Absolutely not. It means that NATO is expanding the threat it poses to Russia, that Russia must respond. Right now, Russia is seeking only those forces necessary to enable them to accumulate the combat power needed to defeat the new NATO army operating in Ukraine. We'll see if it's sufficient or not. There's another thing going on too. Russia initially only intended to liberate Donbass. Maybe not. I think Russia also intended to liberate Kherson, and Russia intended to liberate Zaporizhia and create a land bridge. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Russian government's lying, but it's clear that Donbass in isolation only weakened Crimea, that Russia has to respect the fact that Ukraine threatens Crimea, and that part of this operation, the special military operation, isn't just the liberation of Donbass, but the protection of Crimea. That means that you must extend the Crimea presence into the Ukrainian hinterland through Kherson and then up through Zaporizhia and into the Donbass. And this is what Russia did early on. What does this mean? Now, the Russians come in and do this. The population there takes a look at the Russian soldier and says, are you here temporarily or are you here permanently? Because right now, the government in Kiev is threatening to kill me as a collaborator. And we know what the government in Kiev has done. We know it through Bucha. We know what happened in Bucha. This was not the Russians killing. This was the Ukrainian services hunting down and killing those civilians they accused of collaborating with Russia. Clear statement of fact. We now see in Kharkov what's happening. The Kraken battalion running around and executing people accused of collaboration. So I think people are afraid. Is Russia serious? Is this something that Russia is going to see through, or am I putting my life and the life of my family at risk? So there's going to be a referendum. And the referendum is going to give the population a chance to articulate, in accordance with international law, their desires. Do they want to stay a part of Ukraine? Do they want to be independent? Or do they want to be a part of the Russian Federation? And the feeling is that they're going to vote for being a part of the Russian Federation. And this is then becomes, it changes the equation altogether because it's no longer a special military operation. What happens is it is the defense of the Russian homeland, the defense of the Russian fatherland. And that is a radical departure from a special military operation. Now, any attack made against Kherson, any attack made against Donetsk becomes an attack against Russia, and Russia will respond in kind. Russia has to be prepared for that, which is why you have partial mobilization. So I don't, when President Putin spoke and when Marshal Shoigu spoke, I looked at them carefully. There wasn't any panic, no panic. There's firmness, decisiveness, but no panic. So anybody who thinks that Russia is losing, that they've been lied to by their government, no, you haven't been lied to. Russia is not losing, but Russia can't win unless they match the changes to the reality brought on by NATO's provision of billions of dollars of military assistance to Ukraine. Russia must match this and provide a qualitative increase in its own combat capability.